If you walk away from me now, you won't make it to the street. Have you ever had someone tell you the truth so calmly it felt like a gift? That's how it started for Amina Faye, 32 years old, CEO of a medical technology company. Standing under Christmas lights in Seoul while a man who controlled half the city's underground watched her with eyes that had forgotten how to blink. She was holding a silver briefcase. He was offering her a fortune, and she was about to say no. 30 seconds before gunfire shattered the night, Amina had been standing under the red and green market lights of Gangnam, clutching her briefcase like a shield. The Christmas market sprawled before her, a glittering maze of wooden stalls selling honey pastries and hand-carved ornaments. Carolers sang somewhere to her left. Children squealed near the hot cocoa stand. Snow fell soft and steady, catching in her red scarf. The air smelled of cinnamon and roasted chestnuts, wood smoke and pine. Families moved past her in warm clusters, their laughter bright against the winter night. She was a CEO in a world of soldiers, a black woman from Chicago, standing in Seoul's most dangerous negotiation. Her company had taken 3 years to build, 60-hour weeks, maxed credit cards, and the kind of faith that looks like foolishness until it pays off. The AI sensors in her briefcase could save thousands of lives by stopping counterfeit medications before they reached patients. And this man wanted to use her technology to clean dirty money. And she'd just told the most dangerous man in Seoul, no. Jae-min Han stood 3 feet away, his expression unreadable beneath the string lights. 34 years old, heir to the Hanseong Group. He wore his authority like his coat, tailored, dark, impossible to miss. His chief guard, Tae-suk, lingered at his shoulder, silent as a shadow. "Miss Faye," Jae-min said, his accent precise and measured. "You understand what you're refusing." Amina met his gaze. "I understand perfectly, Mr. Han." Her voice was soft but unyielding. She'd built her medical technology startup on one principle: integrity. Her AI sensors detected counterfeit pharmaceuticals. They saved lives. Her briefcase held the prototype disruptor she'd designed for sensor testing, a sonic device that scrambled electronic signals. And she could not, let her technology become a front for laundering money through fake shipments, even if the man asking controlled half of Seoul's underground. Jae-min tilted his head slightly. Something flickered across his face. Surprise? Curiosity? "It's Christmas," he said. "Consider it a gift, no strings, Mr. Han." Amina shifted the briefcase to her other hand. "I don't accept gifts I can't afford." Behind him, Tae-suk's jaw tightened. 2 more men in black coats appeared from the crowd, their movements casual but deliberate. One held a small wrapped box. Jae-min raised a hand. They stopped. For a moment, the only sound was the carol, "Sleep in Heavenly Peace," and the hiss of a nearby heater. "You're either very brave," Jae-min murmured, "or very foolish." "Maybe both." Amina pulled her scarf tighter. "Merry Christmas, Mr. Han." She turned to leave. That's when she heard it. A voice from the 2nd-floor balcony of the pop-up pavilion, sharp and urgent. Jaemin's head snapped up. His hand went to his coat. And then the world exploded into chaos. The first shot cracked through the bells like breaking glass. Rewind to 1 hour earlier. The meeting was supposed to be simple. Neutral ground. A clear contract. Amina had requested the glass-walled tent at the edge of the market specifically because it was public, visible from 3 sides, heated by a single propane heater in the center. The warm air smelled of spiced cider and melting snow. Through the transparent walls, she could see vendors arranging their goods, a grandmother selling knitted scarves, a young couple debating which ornament to buy, normal people living normal lives. The contrast wasn't lost on her. Jae-min arrived alone. That surprised her. Men like him traveled with entourages, visible shows of power meant to intimidate before a single word was spoken. But he slid into the chair across from her with only his leather gloves and a manila folder. His coat hung perfectly on his shoulders. His eyes were dark, watchful, calculating every detail. Outside, vendors hawked their wares. Inside, condensation beaded on the glass walls, creating a strange kind of privacy in the middle of everything. "Your proposal," Amina said, sliding her tablet across the small table. "Transit of medical sensors through your shipping network, 3-month trial, full transparency on all cargo manifests, no exceptions." Jaemin didn't look at the screen. He looked at her. "You're aware," he said slowly, "that transparency is not my business model. Then we have nothing to discuss." Amina reached for the tablet. His hand moved, not threatening, just quick, and covered hers on the device. "I didn't say no," he murmured. The contact lasted only a second, but Amina felt the weight of it, the deliberateness. He withdrew his hand. "Tell me, Miss Faye," Jaemin said, leaning back. "What do you know about Hansong Group? Officially, import-export, shipping logistics, real estate development." She met his gaze. "Unofficially, you control 40% of Seoul's underground economy. Your network moves everything from luxury goods to pharmaceuticals. And customs has never successfully built a case against you. You've done your research. I don't sign contracts blind." Something flickered in his expression. Respect? Surprise? It was gone too quickly to tell. "Most people," Jaemin said, "come to this meeting wanting something from me. Money, access, protection. You're the first person in 5 years who's come with conditions." "Because I'm not most people." Clearly. The heater hummed between them. Outside, a child laughed as snow dusted her eyelashes. The sound drifted through the tent, innocent, joyful, everything this conversation wasn't. "Your proposal," Amina said, sliding her tablet across the small table. "Transit of medical sensors through your shipping network, 3-month trial, full transparency on all cargo manifests." Jaemin didn't look at the screen. He looked at her. "You're aware," he said slowly, "that transparency is not my business model. Then we have nothing to discuss." His eyes narrowed. They were dark, sharp, haunted by something Amina couldn't name. She'd done her research. Jaemin Han, heir at 28 after his father's sudden death, built Hansong into an empire. Legitimate businesses fronting the kind of operations no one spoke about directly. No wife, no children, no warmth. "You're a CEO," he said. "You understand leverage. I understand accountability." The heater hummed between them. Outside, a child laughed as snow dusted her eyelashes. Jaemin leaned back. "What if I told you my network could cut your delivery time in half? Expand your reach into markets your competitors can't touch?" "I'd ask what you're really buying." "Excuse me?" Amina folded her hands. "Mr. Han, I've seen the pattern. A tech startup partners with your shipping arm. 6 months later, customs flags irregular shipments. The startup takes the fall. Your network stays clean. I won't be your scapegoat." For a long moment, he said nothing. Then, impossibly, he smiled. Not warm, but real. Refreshing, he murmured. Someone who speaks the truth to my face. Is that so rare? In my world? His smile faded. Yes. Amina felt something shift. The man across from her wasn't just powerful. He was isolated, surrounded by people who said yes because they feared no. I'll make you a deal, Jamin said. He pulled a single sheet from his folder. 1 shipment, full manifest access. If I try to hide anything, you walk away clean. If it's legitimate, you give me 3 months. Amina scanned the document. Every line item matched her sensors. Delivery codes were standard. Too clean, she thought, or actually clean. Why me? She asked. You could partner with 100 other tech firms, bigger companies, ones that wouldn't ask questions. Because you said no. Jamin stood, buttoning his coat. That's rare enough to be valuable. He extended his hand. Amina hesitated. This was the moment, the point of no return. She could walk away right now, catch a cab to the airport, fly back to Chicago, and pretend this meeting never happened. Keep her company small but clean, safe but limited. Or she could shake his hand and step into something bigger, more dangerous, and potentially transformative. She thought of her mother, a night shift nurse for 30 years, coming home with sore feet and endless stories about patients who'd suffered from counterfeit medications. If you can stop even one person from going through what I've seen, her mother had said, then whatever risk you take is worth it. Amina reached out and shook Jamin's hand. His grip was firm, his palm warm through the glove. 1 shipment, she agreed. Full transparency. If I see anything questionable, I'm gone. Understood. As he turned to leave, Amina called out, Mr. Han? He paused at the tent opening. If this is real, if you're trying to build something legitimate, why not just say so? His expression went carefully blank. Outside, the market lights blinked red and green. Shoppers moved past with steaming cups and shopping bags. Life continuing. Because in my world, Miss Faye, the moment you show you want something different, someone sees it as weakness. His voice dropped. And weakness gets you killed. The tent flap closed behind him. Cold air rushed in, making the heater work harder. Amina sat back, her heart beating faster than it should. What are you walking into? The question hung in the warm air, unanswered. Sometimes the most dangerous deals are the ones that sound too good to be true. If this story is pulling you in, hit that subscribe button. There's so much more ahead. Amina stepped out of the tent 15 minutes later. The market had transformed as evening settled. More lights had come on, thousands of them, strung between buildings and wrapped around lampposts. The air had grown colder, sharper, carrying the scent of grilling meat from the food stalls. Families moved through the crowds with shopping bags and linked arms. Their contentment a stark contrast to the tension coiled in her chest. She pulled her red scarf tighter and started walking toward the main street, where she could catch a cab back to her hotel. That's when she felt it, the weight of being watched. Amina had grown up in neighborhoods where you learned to trust that instinct, where the prickle at the back of your neck meant pay attention, move faster, don't show fear. She didn't turn around, just adjusted her grip on her briefcase and kept walking. 30 seconds later, Jamin fell into step beside her. I thought you'd left, she said, not looking at him. I should have. His voice was quiet. But Taesuk is watching from the balcony. If you leave alone now, he'll wonder why I let you refuse me. It causes problems. What kind of problems? The kind where questions get asked, where people start doubting whether I'm maintaining control. He gestured subtly toward the market path ahead. 5 minutes, we part near the church. He sees I escorted you personally. Everyone saves face, you stay safe. It was calculated, strategic. Everything about him was carefully controlled, she realized. Every word chosen, every gesture measured. Living like that must be exhausting. All right, Amina agreed. 5 minutes. Excuse me? Tae-suk is watching from the balcony. If you leave alone now, he'll think I let you refuse me. It causes problems. Amina's pulse kicked. What kind of problems? The kind where questions get asked. Jaemin gestured toward the market path. 5 minutes. We part near the church. He sees I escorted you personally. Everyone saves face. It was calculated, but not cruel. Amina nodded. They walked side by side through the market. Vendors called out prices in sing-song voices. The hot cocoa stand sent up curls of sweet steam. A little girl in a red coat tugged her father toward the ornament booth, her excitement making him laugh. The church bells began their evening toll, clear, resonant, impossibly beautiful. Each chime seemed to hang in the frozen air before fading. Amina pulled her scarf tighter against the cold. The snow was falling heavier now, clinging to her eyelashes. She could see her breath mingling with Jaemin's in the space between them. "Do you have family here?" Jaemin asked suddenly. The question caught her off guard. It was personal. Unexpected from a man who'd spent their entire meeting maintaining perfect professional distance. In Seoul? No. In the States? Yes. My mother. 2 brothers. She glanced at him. They know I run a medical tech company. They don't know. She gestured vaguely at the market, at him, at the world they were navigating. This part. Smart? They passed under a wooden arch strung with lights. The Merry Christmas banner swayed in the wind, its fabric making a soft snapping sound. More snow fell, catching in the lights like stars. "What about you?" Amina asked. "Family?" Jaemin's expression closed. The shift was subtle but complete, like watching a door lock from the inside. "I have an empire," he said flatly. "It's the same thing." "It's really not." He glanced at her, something unreadable in his eyes. "You sound certain." "I am." Amina's voice softened. "An empire follows orders. Family argues with you, worries about you, shows up at 2 in the morning because they had a bad feeling." She paused. "That's not the same as loyalty bought with power." Jaemin was quiet for several steps. The bells rang louder. They were nearly at the church, a small stone building at the market's edge, its steeple silhouetted against the falling snow. Warm light glowed from the windows. Inside, someone was playing the organ, the notes drifting out into the cold. "You're right," he said finally. So quietly, she almost didn't hear it. That's when everything changed. Jaemin stopped walking. His head turned sharply toward the pavilion balcony. Amina followed his gaze. Tae-suk stood there, one hand pressed to his earpiece. His expression was wrong, too blank, too controlled. And his other hand was making a gesture, a signal. "Get down," Jaemin said. "What?" The first shot cracked through the bells. Amina didn't process it. Her mind said firework even as Jaemin's arm locked around her waist, even as he yanked her against his chest and drove them both sideways into the shadow of a market stall. The second shot shattered the Merry Christmas sign. Glass rained down like ice. Screams erupted. Vendors scattered. The little girl in the red coat stood frozen, her father scooping her up and running. Jamin pressed Amina flat against the wooden stall, his body shielding hers. His coat smelled like leather and winter. His breath came fast and controlled. His coat smelled like leather and winter. "Stay down," he said in her ear. "Don't move." "What's happening?" "Betrayal." His voice was flat, certain. "They're not shooting at you, they're shooting at me." Another crack. Wood splintered 2 feet from Amina's head. She felt Jamin's heart hammering against her back. Proof that underneath the ice, underneath the control, he was human, afraid, calculating their odds of survival in real time. Jamin's jaw clenched. He pulled something from his coat, a phone, and barked orders in rapid Korean. Then he looked at her, his eyes sharp and blazing. "Can you run?" "Yes." "Then run with me, now." He grabbed her hand and pulled her into the chaos. The market was pandemonium. Stalls overturned, lights swinging wild. The carolers had vanished, but the bells, those church bells, kept ringing, steady and clear, as if nothing in the world had changed. Amina's briefcase slammed against her leg. Her scarf streamed behind her. Jamin's grip on her hand was iron, not crushing, but absolute. He moved with purpose, weaving through the chaos like someone who'd trained for this, probably had. Behind them she heard shouts, footsteps, the metallic click of weapons reloading. "This is real," her mind kept repeating. "This is actually happening." They rounded the church corner. Jamin shoved her toward a narrow alley between buildings. "Why are they after you?" Amina gasped. Jamin didn't answer immediately. He was scanning the alley, calculating. His eyes moved with practiced efficiency, checking corners, measuring distances, identifying exit points. This was a man who'd survived by thinking 3 moves ahead. Then he said the words that would change everything. "Because they think you make me weak?" Amina's breath caught, not from the running, from the implication. "I don't understand. You told me no." His voice was low, urgent. "In front of my men. You set conditions. You challenged my authority, and I accepted it." He turned to face her fully. "In my world, that means I'm compromised, distracted, vulnerable. And vulnerability gets you killed or replaced." The snow kept falling, the bells kept ringing, and Amina realized this wasn't random violence. This was a message written in bullets. "You're the liability," she thought. "You're the excuse they needed to move against him." The weight of that realization settled in her chest like ice. The alley was narrow, dark, and freezing. Amina's breath plumed white as they pressed against the brick wall. Behind them, the market was still screaming. Ahead, the alley opened onto a side street lined with shuttered shops. Jamin pulled out his phone. His thumb moved fast across the screen. Then he cursed softly in Korean. "What?" Amina whispered. "Taesuk's men are on the main roads. They're cutting off exits." "Taesuk?" Amina's mind raced. "Your chief guard? He's the one—" "Yes." Jamin's voice was ice. "He's been planning this, waiting for the right moment." "And I'm the right moment." He looked at her. "You're proof I'm distracted, that I've gone soft. In my world, that's an invitation to coup." Amina's heart hammered. This wasn't some abstract mafia power struggle. This was now, real, deadly. How many men does he have? She asked. Enough. Jamin pocketed his phone. We need to move. Wait. Amina grabbed his arm. The market has security cameras. If they're tracking us through those, we're cornered before we even start. Jamin frowned. I'm saying I can hack the feed. Loop it. Make us disappear for 5 minutes. His eyes widened slightly. You can do that? My AI sensors interact with security systems. It's not exactly legal, but... She pulled out her tablet. Do you want to argue ethics, or do you want to live? For the first time since the shooting started, Jamin almost smiled. Do it. Amina's fingers flew. The market's security system was outdated, vulnerable. Within 90 seconds, she'd created a loop. The cameras would show empty alleys for the next 5 minutes. Done, she said. We're ghosts. Jamin stared at her. You just hacked a security system in 90 seconds. I'm a CEO, Mr. Han. We don't build companies by being helpless. Something shifted in his expression. Not just respect, recognition. As if he was seeing her, really seeing her, for the first time. This way, he said. They moved fast through the alleys, keeping to shadows. The snow was heavier now, muffling sound. Amina's red scarf was a liability, too visible, but there was no time to discard it. They emerged near the Hangang Bridge, its arches lit gold against the night. The river stretched black and silent below. Jamin stopped at the center of the bridge. Amina caught her breath. Why are we? Because they won't expect it. He turned to face her, snowflakes catching in his dark hair. And because I need to tell you something. The wind bit cold. The city glittered around them. This isn't random, Miss Faye, Jamin said quietly. Taesuk has been consolidating power for months. The board, my organization's inner circle, they've been questioning my decisions, investments in legitimate business, refusing certain contracts, and now you. Me? A partnership built on transparency with someone who told me no. His laugh was bitter. To them, that's weakness. Proof I'm losing my edge. Amina's chest tightened. So what happens now? Jamin looked at her. His eyes were no longer cold. They were raw, exposed. If I keep you close, my empire collapses. Taesuk takes over. Everything I built, gone. And if you don't? Silence. Then so quiet, she almost didn't hear it. Then you die. The words hung between them like the snow. Amina's mind whirled. She should run, disappear, catch the first flight back to the States, and never look back. But she didn't move. Why does my life matter to you? She asked. We just met. Jamin's expression was devastating in its honesty. Because you looked me in the eye and told me the truth. Do you know how long it's been since anyone did that? He stepped closer. The space between them was measured in heartbeats. I have no family, Miss Faye. My parents are dead. I built an empire to fill that void. And it's been enough. Until tonight. His voice dropped to a whisper. I built an empire because I had nothing else. No parents, no siblings. Just ambition and anger. He paused. It's been enough until tonight. Amina's breath caught. If keeping you alive means losing everything I built, I will. Amina's breath caught. This was the moment, the pivot point, the place where strangers became something more. Don't call me Miss Faye, she said softly. It's Amina. Jamin nodded. Amina. The way he said her name, careful, deliberate, like something precious, made her chest ache. I don't want your empire to fall because of me, she said. It won't. his jaw set. I'll make sure it doesn't, but I won't sacrifice you to save it. It was a vow, a line drawn, and in that moment, on a snow-covered bridge in the heart of Seoul, Amina understood. This wasn't about business anymore. This was something else entirely. The church was small, old, and blessedly warm. Jamin led her to a side entrance. The pastor here had been his father's friend, one of the few people who'd known him before the empire. They slipped inside into a space that smelled of beeswax and aged wood. Candles flickered on the altar. Rows of empty pews stretched toward stained glass windows that glowed faintly in the streetlight. Amina set down her briefcase, her hands trembling. Adrenaline was fading, leaving exhaustion in its wake. Jamin locked the door, then he leaned against it, eyes closed, breathing hard. "Are you hurt?" Amina asked. "No." "Jamin." He opened his eyes. She was using his first name now. That mattered. "My shoulder," he admitted, "caught glass when the sign shattered." "Let me see." He hesitated, then, slowly, he shrugged off his coat. Blood had soaked through his shirt. Not a lot, but enough to worry. Amina found a first aid kit in a cabinet near the altar. The pastor must keep it for emergencies. "Sit," she said, gesturing to a pew. Jamin obeyed. Amina worked carefully, cleaning the wound. It wasn't deep, a long scrape from flying glass, but it needed attention. Her hands were steady despite everything. This, at least, she knew how to do. "You're good at this," Jamin murmured. "My mother's a nurse. She taught me young." "You're close." "Very." Amina dabbed antiseptic. Jamin didn't flinch. "She's the reason I got into medical tech. Saw too many people hurt by counterfeit medications." "So you built a company to stop it?" "I built a company to help." Jamin watched her face. "That's why you wouldn't take my offer. Not just business, personal." "Yes." She taped gauze over the wound, her fingers brushing his shoulder. His skin was warm, solid, human. "Your turn," Jamin said. "What?" "Tell me something true about you." Amina sat back. The candles cast dancing shadows across the pews. "I don't let people protect me," she said quietly. "I spent my whole life proving I could stand on my own. My family didn't have money. I worked 3 jobs to get through college, built my startup from nothing." She met his eyes. "And tonight, you shielded me from gunfire. I don't know how to feel about that." "Grateful?" Jamin offered. "Complicated." His mouth twitched, almost a smile. "I understand complicated," he said, then softer. "After my father died, the organization became everything. I told myself loyalty could replace what I'd lost." He looked at the altar. "But loyal soldiers still pull triggers when someone else pays more." "Families do betray you," Amina said. "Just usually not with bullets." Jamin laughed, a real surprised sound. It transformed his face, made him look younger, less haunted. "You're not what I expected," he said. "What did you expect? Someone easier to intimidate." "Sorry to disappoint." "You didn't." The moment stretched, warm, fragile, real. Amina found herself studying his face in the candlelight. The sharp line of his jaw, the way his shoulders finally relaxed, no longer carrying the weight of authority, the small scar above his left eyebrow, old, faded, probably from childhood. She wondered about the boy he'd been before all this, before the empire, before the careful control. "Can I ask you something?" she said quietly. "Yes." "When was the last time someone took care of you? Not soldiers following orders, not business associates managing relationships, just someone caring because they wanted to. Jae-min went very still. The question had landed somewhere deep, she could tell. Somewhere he didn't let people reach. "I don't remember," he said finally. "Maybe when my father was alive, maybe not even then. He was grooming me to take over. Every interaction was a lesson. Every moment was preparation." That sounds lonely. It was necessary. It can be both. He looked at her with those dark, serious eyes. "You see things very clearly, Amina. It's a skill you learn when you can't afford to pretend." She thought of her own childhood, counting coins for groceries, wearing second-hand clothes, watching her mother come home exhausted night after night. "My family didn't have the luxury of illusions. We saw the world exactly as it was. Sometimes that's a gift, and sometimes it's heavy." Outside, snow continued to fall. Inside, the candlelight held them in a pocket of peace. "What happens now?" Amina asked. Jamin's expression hardened. "Now I figure out who I can trust and how to keep you safe while I do." "I can help." "Amina, don't." She held up a hand. "Don't tell me to run. Don't tell me to hide. You said we're partners, so treat me like one." Jamin studied her. Then slowly, he nodded. "All right," he said. "Partners." He extended his hand. Amina took it. This time, when they shook, it wasn't a business deal. It was a promise. The news broke at midnight. Jamin's phone buzzed. Once, twice, then a flood of messages. He read in the silence, his face going carefully blank. "What is it?" Amina asked. "The board." His voice was flat. "They're voting to remove me as head of Hanseong." "Can they do that?" "They just did." He scrolled through the messages. "Emergency session held at Taesuk's estate. Unanimous decision." "On what grounds?" Jamin looked at her. "Protecting a foreign woman over the organization's interests. Compromising security. Going soft." The words landed like stones. Amina stood. "This is my fault." "No." "Jamin, no." He pocketed his phone. "This has been coming for months. I've been trying to legitimize parts of the business, cut ties with operations I couldn't justify." The board saw it as weakness. His jaw clenched. "You were just the excuse they needed." "So what do you do?" "I don't know." It was the first time Amina had heard him sound uncertain. He walked to the altar, staring at the candles. His silhouette was sharp against the light, a man carved from shadows and choices. "I spent 10 years building this," he said quietly. "After my father died, I was 28, too young, too idealistic. The organization was fracturing. I pulled it together through sheer force, made deals I'm not proud of, eliminated threats." He turned. "I told myself it was necessary, that I'd earn the right to lead." "You did earn it, did I?" His smile was bitter. "Or did I just become what they wanted? Another ruthless leader who puts power above everything?" Amina crossed to him. "You pulled me out of gunfire. You chose my life over your empire. That's not ruthless. It's naive. It's human." The word hung between them. Jamin looked at her, really looked, and something cracked in his expression. "I didn't ask you to choose me," Amina said softly. "I never asked for any of this." "I know. Then why?" Silence. The candles flickered. Then, "Because when you refused my offer, you weren't playing a game. You meant it. You saw a person, not a position." His voice wavered. "Do you know how rare that is?" Amina's heart twisted. She reached up and touched his face, just her fingertips, gentle against his jaw. "I still see that person," she said. Jaemin closed his eyes. For a moment, he looked like a man drowning in relief. Then his phone buzzed again. He read the message. His expression went cold. "They have a hostage protocol," he said. "Standard procedure when the head of the organization is compromised." "What does that mean?" Jaemin's eyes met hers, devastated. "It means they're coming for you." The words hung in the candlelit space like smoke. Amina's mind went into overdrive. Strategy, options, escape routes, all the skills she'd honed building a company from nothing. The ability to see 3 steps ahead, to calculate risk, to find solutions in impossible situations. "When?" she asked. "Soon, maybe hours, maybe minutes." Jaemin's phone buzzed again. He read the message, his expression darkening. "They're organizing. Tae-suk has mobilized his faction. 6 men, possibly more. They'll come before dawn when resistance is lowest." "Then we don't wait for dawn." Amina stood, her mind already working through scenarios. "We leave now, get ahead of them." "And go where?" Jaemin looked at her. "Every safe house I have is compromised. Every contact is either with them or too scared to help. The airport is watched, the train stations, even the roads out of Seoul. They have people everywhere." "Then we don't run." Amina paced between the pews, thinking. "We change the game. Right now they think they have all the power because they have numbers and weapons. But what do we have? Nothing. No, we have information. We have my technology. We have the element of surprise because they think we're cornered and desperate." She turned to face him. "And we have each other." Jaemin stared at her. "You're talking about fighting back. I'm talking about surviving. There's a difference." "Amina, these men are trained. And I'm smart." She pulled out her tablet. "My sensors don't just detect counterfeit pharmaceuticals. They interface with any electronic system, security cameras, communication networks, building infrastructure. If Tae-suk is using technology to coordinate his people, I can disrupt it, create confusion, buy us time." "That's..." Jaemin stopped, recalculated. "That's actually brilliant." "I know." She managed a small smile despite everything. "I didn't build a company by giving up when things got hard." He crossed to her, took her hand. His palm was warm, steady. "I can't ask you to do this," he said quietly, "to risk yourself for me, for a situation you didn't create and a world you don't belong to. You're not asking, I'm choosing." Amina squeezed his hand. "Besides, I'm already in this. The moment those shots were fired, the moment Tae-suk decided I was your weakness, I became part of it whether I wanted to or not. So we can wait here like prey, or we can decide what happens next." "You're extraordinary," Jaemin breathed. "Do you know that?" "I'm stubborn, there's a difference." "No," he said, "there isn't." For a moment, they just looked at each other. 2 people from completely different worlds, standing in a church at midnight, planning to outsmart an army with nothing but intelligence and improvisation. Amina felt something shift in her chest. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about choosing, actively choosing, to stand with someone, even when walking away, was smarter, safer, more logical. This was about faith, the kind you don't find in buildings, but in people brave enough to be honest. They came at dawn, 6 men in black coats, Tae-suk at the lead, his expression cold and efficient. Professional, Like this was just another operation, another task to complete before breakfast. Jamin had been standing watch at the church window, knowing this moment would come. He'd prepared for it, or tried to. But no amount of preparation makes you ready to watch everything unravel. He saw them coming up the street, their formation practiced and precise. Turned to Amina, his face already making the calculation he didn't want to make. "Go," he said, "back exit, now." But it was too late. The door didn't just open, it exploded inward, wood splintering, hinges screaming, the sound echoing through the sacred space like a desecration. Tae-suk stepped through, flanked by his soldiers. Their boots tracked snow and city grime across the church floor. "Boss," he said, the word dripping with mockery. The title that once meant respect now carried only contempt. "You've made this very difficult, much more difficult than it needed to be." Jamin stepped between Tae-suk and Amina. His body became a shield, instinct overriding strategy. "This is between us. Let her go. She's not part of this." "I'm afraid I can't do that." Tae-suk's smile was thin, practiced. "She's the reason you're unfit to lead, the proof we needed that you've lost your edge. The board has decided she comes with us. You sign the transfer papers. Everyone moves forward. Simple." "No, it's not a negotiation." Two soldiers moved toward Amina with mechanical precision. She backed up, her heart slamming against her ribs. Her briefcase was on the pew beside her, but what good was technology against guns? What good was intelligence against force? Jamin's hand went to his coat, but Tae-suk was faster. He had a gun out, pointed not at Jamin, but at Amina. The barrel was steady. His finger rested on the trigger with casual confidence. "Don't," Tae-suk said calmly. "You're outnumbered, outmaneuvered. Your network has collapsed. Your allies have turned. Your power is gone. This ends one of two ways. You sign, she lives. You don't." He shrugged. "Well, accidents happen." Amina watched Jamin's face, watched the calculation there, the desperate math of impossible choices. How many steps to Tae-suk? How fast could he move? What were the odds of disarming him before someone pulled a trigger? And if someone did pull that trigger, where would the bullet go? The answer was written in his eyes. Not good enough, not worth the risk. "It's all right," Amina said quietly. "Amina, it's all right." She looked at Tae-suk, keeping her voice steady. "I'll go with you, just don't hurt him. Whatever happens to me, don't hurt him." "No," Jamin's voice cracked. The word came out broken, desperate. "No, you don't understand." "I do." Amina stepped forward. The soldiers grabbed her arms, not rough, but firm, professional. "I understand perfectly." As they pulled her past Jamin, their eyes met. In that moment, everything they'd said and everything they hadn't said passed between them. All the choices, all the consequences, all the what-ifs and could-have-beens. She whispered, "Find me." 2 words, a prayer and a promise and a plea all at once. Then they were gone. The church door hung crooked on its broken hinges. Cold air poured in, making the candles gutter and dance. Jamin stood alone in the aisle, surrounded by empty pews and sacred space that suddenly felt hollow. He'd built an empire to avoid feeling powerless, and here he was, powerless. He dropped to his knees in the aisle, his hands shaking with a helplessness he'd never known. All the control, all the power, all the carefully constructed authority, none of it mattered. None of it could help her. The words came out broken, barely a whisper. "Please." He didn't know who he was asking. God, the universe, whatever force governed the world and decided who got saved and who didn't. Please. The candles burned on, indifferent to prayer. The snow kept falling outside, covering everything in white. And Jaemin Han, who'd commanded hundreds, controlled millions, built an empire from ash and ambition, discovered what it meant to have nothing. Nothing except the memory of a woman who'd looked him in the eye and told him the truth. Nothing except the choice to find her or die trying. They took Amina to a rooftop. High above Seoul, wind whipping snow into spirals, the city glittering below like a circuit board. The building was abandoned, one of Hanzong's failed real estate projects, empty for 2 years. No witnesses, no security cameras, just concrete, sky, and the kind of isolation where power plays out of sight. Tae-suk stood near the edge, tablet in hand. Behind him, Seoul stretched infinite and cold. "Nothing personal, Miss Faye," he said. "You're just leverage." Amina's wrists were zip-tied. 2 guards flanked her, but her mind was racing. She'd spent the entire trip here analyzing the situation. These men were soldiers, not strategists. They followed orders. And Tae-suk's orders were clear. Keep her alive as long as Jaemin cooperated. That gave her a window. "Does the board know," she asked, "that you plan to keep controlling Jaemin even after he signs?" Tae-suk's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me?" "The transfer papers, they give you operational control, but Jaemin's name stays on the legal entities, which means you need him alive and compliant." She tilted her head. "That's not a coup, that's a puppet government." One of the guards shifted uncomfortably. Tae-suk stepped closer. "You're clever, but it won't save you." "I don't need saving." Amina's voice was steady. "I need a better story." Before he could respond, the rooftop door burst open. Jaemin stood there, alone, snow-dusting his coat. In his hand was the leader's badge, a small metal emblem worn by the head of Han Seong. "Let her go," he said. Tae-suk smiled. "Show me the signed papers first." Jaemin pulled a folded document from his coat, held it up. "Transfer of all operational authority, effective immediately." His voice was hollow. "It's done." "Good." Tae-suk gestured. "Bring him the girl." The guards started to move Amina forward. That's when Jaemin threw the badge. Not at Tae-suk, at the ground. It skittered across the rooftop, metallic and worthless. "Take the empire," Jaemin said. His voice rang clear and certain. "I don't want it. She's the only territory I'd die to protect." Tae-suk's expression went cold. "You're making a mistake." "No." Jaemin walked forward. "I already made the mistake 10 years ago, when I thought power was the same as family, when I thought control was the same as love." He stopped 3 feet from Tae-suk. "You can have Hanseong. You can have every dollar, every connection, every soldier. But you don't get her. You're not in a position to negotiate." "I'm not negotiating." In one smooth motion, Jaemin lunged, not at Tae-suk, at the guard holding Amina's left arm. The man went down hard. Amina twisted free. Chaos erupted. Jaemin fought with brutal efficiency. Years of training compressed into seconds. But he was outnumbered. A guard slammed him against the rooftop wall. Amina's hands were still bound, but her briefcase sat 5 feet away, dropped by the guards when they dragged her from the church. She dove for it. Inside, her tablet, and the sonic disruptor, the prototype she'd brought to demonstrate her sensor technology. Non-lethal. but effective at scrambling electronic signals. She activated it. The high-frequency pulse was inaudible to human ears, but it scrambled the guards' communication earpieces, sending feedback screaming through their heads. 3 men dropped, clutching their ears. Taesuk spun toward her. "What did you—" Jaemin broke free, grabbed Taesuk's wrist, twisted. The gun clattered across the rooftop. "It's over," Jaemin said. Taesuk laughed, bitter and hollow. "You think this ends it? The board won't accept you back. You've lost everything." "I know." Jaemin's grip tightened. "And I don't care." For a moment, Taesuk looked almost sad. Then he shook his head. "You were a good leader once," he said, "before you went soft." "No," Jaemin replied quietly. "I was a scared leader. There's a difference." Security sirens wailed in the distance. Someone had called the authorities, maybe Yeonhee, the neutral VP who never liked Taesuk's ambitions. Jaemin released Taesuk and crossed to Amina, cut her zip ties with a knife from his coat. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "No." Her voice shook. "Are you?" "No." They stood on the rooftop, wind howling around them, Seoul glittering below. "We should go," Amina said. Jaemin nodded, but he didn't move. He was looking at her like she was the only real thing in his world. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For not running, for fighting, for—" He stopped, swallowed. "For seeing me." Amina reached up and took his face in both hands. "I see you," she said, "and you're not soft, you're brave." Then she kissed him. It was brief, chaste, the kind of kiss that held more promise than passion. When she pulled back, Jaemin's eyes were bright with something she couldn't name. "We need to go," Ha said. This time she nodded. They left the rooftop together. Christmas morning came quietly. The snow had stopped during the night, leaving Seoul crystalline and still. The old church was fuller now. A few worshippers attending morning service, an elderly pastor with kind eyes leading them in song. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, painting the pews in colors: ruby red, sapphire blue, emerald green. Amina and Jaemin sat in the back pew. 4 days had passed since the rooftop. 4 days of police statements, emergency board meetings, and the slow, grinding work of dismantling an empire. Taesuk had been arrested, along with 3 board members, for orchestrating the market attack. The media had seized the story, headlines screaming about romance and betrayal. But the truth was quieter than the noise. It always is. Jaemin had signed over Han Seong to a restructuring committee led by Yeonhee, the one board member who'd opposed Taesuk from the start. The legitimate businesses would continue under new leadership: shipping logistics, real estate development, import-export that actually followed customs regulations. The illegal operations would be shut down, prosecuted where necessary. Testimony would be given. Consequences would be faced. It would take years, lawsuits, investigations. The kind of slow justice that never makes headlines but changes everything. But it would be clean. "What will you do now?" Amina had asked him the night before, in the small apartment they'd been borrowing from the pastor's nephew. They'd been sitting at a tiny kitchen table, drinking tea that tasted like flowers, and watching snow fall past the window. The apartment was modest: 1 bedroom, a kitchenette, furniture that had seen better decades. But it was warm, safe, theirs for now. Jaemin had looked at her with those dark, serious eyes that no longer carried the weight of 10,000 impossible decisions. Start over, he'd said, if you'll let me. Now, as the pastor finished his sermon about second chances and new beginnings, Amina felt Jamin's hand cover hers. His palm was warm, his touch gentle. Not the grip of someone trying to hold power, but the touch of someone trying to hold hope. I've been thinking, he murmured. Dangerous. His mouth twitched, almost a smile. She'd learned to treasure those small cracks in his seriousness, moments when the man he might have been showed through the man he'd forced himself to become. Your company. You need a shipping network you can trust, one that won't compromise your principles or put your technology at risk. I do. What if I helped you build one? Legitimate, transparent. No ghosts in the machinery. No hidden agendas, just clean business. Amina turned to look at him. You want to work for me? I want to work with you. He paused, choosing his words carefully. I spent 10 years building something I couldn't be proud of. Something that required me to become someone I didn't recognize. I'd like to spend the next 10 building something different. Something that helps people instead of exploiting them. It was the question beneath the question. Not just business, but everything. Partnership, future, the kind of commitment that required vulnerability, trust, and the willingness to build from scratch. Amina thought about the last week, the gunfire and the church and the rooftop, the way he'd chosen her over an empire, the way she'd chosen to stay even when running was safer, smarter, more logical. This was the romance, not perfect, not glamorous, but real, built on respect that had been tested and proven, on reciprocity where both had given and received, on vulnerability that had been offered and honored, on choice freely made when other options existed, on commitment that cost everything and promised only the work of building something new. It was motivational in its honesty, inspirational in its courage. Two people choosing each other despite the chaos, despite the consequences, despite every logical reason to walk away. Yes, she said, I'll have you. Jamin's smile was soft, genuine, the kind of smile that came from relief and hope in equal measure. Then we start, he said. After the service, they walked through the quiet market. Vendors were setting up again, repairing the last of the damage from that violent night. The Merry Christmas sign had been replaced, this one reinforced, built to last. Carolers practiced near the hot cocoa stand, their voices rising in harmony. Children ran between stalls, their laughter bright against the winter morning. Life continuing, healing, moving forward. The little girl in the red coat was there, clutching a new ornament, a small glass angel with silver wings. She saw Amina and waved with the unself-conscious joy of children who haven't yet learned to guard their hearts. Amina waved back, something warm blooming in her chest. You're good with children, Jamin observed. I have nieces and nephews. Amina glanced at him. 4 of them, they're wild, exhausting, perfect. You see them often. Not as often as I'd like. Building the company took everything, she paused. But I want to change that. Make more time for what matters. Jamin was quiet for a moment. Then, I'd like to meet them, someday, if that's... He trailed off, uncertain. It was the gentlest family signal. Not a promise, just a possibility. A window into a future where this, whatever this was becoming, might include more than just the 2 of them. Might include belonging, connection, the kind of family built by choice rather than blood. I'd like that, Amina said softly. They'd like you. once they stopped interrogating you about your intentions. I have very honorable intentions. Do you? The most honorable. He stopped walking, turning to face her. Amina Faye, my intentions are to build a legitimate business with you, to earn your trust every single day, to prove that the man I'm becoming is worth the empire I walked away from. His voice dropped, intimate and sure. And to love you if you'll let me. Not the dramatic, explosive kind of love that burns out fast, but the steady kind, the kind that builds slowly and lasts. Amina's breath caught. They'd reached the bridge, the same bridge where he'd made his vow 4 nights ago. The river flowed dark and steady below, reflecting the morning light. No empire, Jamin said quietly. No crown, just us. Just us, Amina agreed, and whatever we build together. He turned to her. Snow began to fall again, light, hesitant, beautiful. Each flake caught the sunlight, turning to crystal before melting. I don't have much to offer, he said. No fortune, no power, no impressive credentials. Beyond leading an organization I'm actively dismantling. Just myself, and the promise to choose you every day for as long as you'll have me. That's enough. Amina took his hand, weaving her fingers through his. More than enough. Then let's build something better, Jamin said. Something worth protecting, something we can be proud of. Already started, Amina replied. This time, when they kissed, it was unhurried. The kind of kiss that said beginning instead of end. The kind that promised not perfection, but partnership, not ease, but effort worth making. The market lights blinked on in the growing dusk, red and green against the snow. Carols drifted on the wind, familiar melodies about peace and hope, and the possibility of new beginnings. The church bells rang their gentle rhythm, counting hours, marking time, witnessing the small miracles that happen when people choose courage over comfort. And 2 people who'd found each other in chaos stood together in the quiet, building something new from the ruins of everything they'd lost. Sometimes the most inspirational stories aren't about holding on to power. They're about having the courage to let it go. Sometimes the most motivational truth is simple. Love is not a weakness. It's the only strength that lasts. And sometimes a Christmas miracle isn't about magic. It's about choosing to see each other, truly see each other, and deciding that's enough. It's about building something better together. It's about romance not as escape, but as arrival. About 2 people brave enough to start over. Together. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that love and dignity can transform even the darkest empires, leave a comment below sharing what moment moved you most. And subscribe, because every week we bring you stories that prove true strength is choosing love, even when it costs everything. Merry Christmas, and thank you for listening.